And that is all the time we have left this evening. As always, thank you for being with us. And we'll be back, of course, with more lively debate tomorrow night. Stay tuned. Greta Van Susteren standing by. She's coming up next. We'd love to see you down there with Hank and Hannity on Friday, Greta.
I want the video of the party that's going to go on. That's what I want.
That's a secret.
That's our D-Block Monday night.
It won't be a secret. We're finished, Sean. Don't worry.
Boy. Thanks, Greta.
Tonight, a suspect in Natalee Holloway's disappearance threatens to sue Natalee's mother. Joining us live on the phone with the details is Jussie Mansour, the managing editor of Diario. Welcome, Jussie.
Thank you, Greta.
Jussie, what is this? Who's threatening to sue Beth Holloway Twitty?
Well, you know, we've heard from official sources that Steve Cruz was interrogated again last week by the police, and he still remains to be, he is still a person of interest and a suspect, and that he got mad, and people close to him informed the Diario that he has been making consultations with legal people because he wants to sue or initiate a case against Natalee's mother.
All right. For the benefit of the viewers, this case has been going on a long time, but viewers may not be as steeped in it as you are, Jussie. Who is Steve Cruz? What's his relationship to this investigation?
Steve Cruz is the man that they arrested, the Aruban that they arrested. He worked on the tattoo boat, and he's the man that came up voluntarily to the police to give an alibi to help protect his friends. In other words, he responded to the fact that Joran and the Kalpoe brothers dropped Natalee off at the Holiday Inn. He confirmed that he saw that happened. And we all know that that became a very big lie because it was changed later to the expression that they had taken Joran and Natalee from Carlos and Charlie's to the beach to the north of the Marriott Hotel.
I tell you, Jussie, he told me one of the silliest things I've ever heard. I got him on camera saying that the reason he did that is because he was just sort of a good guy, that he was just trying to help. I mean, the idea that he would sue Beth, at least in my opinion, is almost laughable, Jussie.
Well, in my opinion, too. But that's what we found out in these last few days, that he has been thinking about it, he has been consulting with legal people, and that he has the intention of starting a case against Natalee's mother.
Jussie, does he have any, I mean, sorting through all the stuff that we've heard, is he really truly a suspect? Does the prosecutor think he's involved in her disappearance in any way?
We don't know that. What we know is that he did involve himself voluntarily by giving this very silly alibi that the suspects themselves, the three suspects, Joran and the Kalpoe brothers, later denied because they changed the story and said that they did not drop her anymore at the Holiday Inn, but that they dropped her to the north of the Marriott Hotel.
Jussie, what is the prosecution's theory about what happened on that night at the end of May?
I don't know what their theory is, but I do know that they've considered this case from the beginning, and they've investigated this case as a murder case.
How about sexual assault? Is that in the cards? Do you hear any discussion about any charges about for sexual assault?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I know that the police went back to square one. They re-investigated the whole thing. They reread all the documents that they had, and they are certain, because of admissions that these three suspects did during interrogation, both Joran and the Kalpoe brothers admitted to having had sexual assault on the girls.
But this is what's so odd, Jussie, because that evidence is not going to change. If they believe, based on the admissions of the three, there's a sexual assault, then what are they waiting for? Bring that charges if they believe that happened.
Well, the police are convinced it happened because they have it on the transcripts. So does the prosecution. But we had these judges coming in from Curacao, and the last judge just put them all free because Joran manifested his desire to continue his studies in Holland, which to me is no legal argument at all. No, I reject that kind of argument.
All right, Jussie, thank you very much. It's nice to hear from you. We haven't heard from you in a while. Thank you, Jussie.
Bye-bye.
And out of Virginia, in the search for Taylor Behl's killer, Taylor's body was found in a shallow grave on October 7th, but no one has been charged with her murder. Last night, CBS affiliate WTVR released this interview with Ben Foley, one of the last people known to see Taylor alive. This interview was taped shortly after Taylor disappeared.
I can't believe she's gone. I'm used to seeing her online. I chat with her online more than anything. From what I know, she does like mischief. But her mom's probably finding out things that her mom doesn't want to know right now.
Foley also talked about the night Taylor vanished.
After she borrowed my skateboard, she said she wanted to drop her purse off, so I walked her back to the dorms so she could drop off her purse, and after that, I kind of lose track of time.
Former LAPD Homicide Detective Mark Furman joins us live from Spokane. What do you do with those two little bits of sound, Mark?
Well, I think it's interesting. He kind of gives it away. He's establishing that there's very strange things about Taylor that her mother now knows. He says he loses track of time, but then earlier or later, he says that he left her at 9:30 after having consensual sex. So he's kind of overlapping his alibis that should be very crystal clear. One, he says he left her at 9:30, and now he loses track of time. So this had to just throw up all kinds of flares for the police.
And I should note that Jim Nolan, who's been on our show a number of times, who's been writing and covering the story down in Richmond, is now breaking the news that Foley's credit card activity between that next morning was used. There was credit card activity between Richmond and Matthews County, which is where the body was found. Apparently he was trying to get gasoline. That's not going to help him, is it?
No, I mean, thank God suspects are stupid. You have a time that he's trying to cover up for, so he's robbed and abducted and then left on the side of the road. He's robbed and abducted, and he gets to keep his wallet and credit cards. That being said, then an unknown Hispanic man picks him up and gives him a ride back, and then he gets some gas at a gas station with his credit card to give to the man that's already got a car with gas in it. I would suspect, Greta, that the gas was used to burn the victim to try to dispose and camouflage the identity of the body. That is probably why it's at the high level of decomposition that it is.
Or else maybe if he took her car to use her own car to transport her body or even to kill her down there, if he's the one who did it, perhaps he chose the wrong person. She didn't have much gas in the tank, and suddenly he had an empty tank.
Well, it could be, but there's no Hispanic man. There was no abduction. There was no robbery. That means he's at the gas station with a vehicle. And if you've got a vehicle at the gas station, you put the gas in the vehicle, or you're putting it in a can for a purpose. And that purpose, I don't think he's mowing lawns or trimming weeds. He is using that to start a fire, and most probably at the gravesite.
The police are sort of, for lack of a better word, they're lucky that he's in jail on these pornography charges and his gun charges, because it gives them plenty of time to develop the case, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's great, and this is not something that police don't seek to do. We did this. Everybody I knew did this. You get him on a lesser and included charge. It's very easy to hold him. You get the bail so high that they can't bail out, or you get a no bail because of a flight risk, and then you take your time with the forensic, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to find the cause of death, make an absolute positive identification beyond what they already have done, and they're trying to connect up all the pieces so when they file the charge for murder, kidnapping, that it'll stick, and they're ready to go to trial in case the defense says, we want to have a speedy trial, we want to go right now.
Mark, I always think how horrible it must be for a police officer to tell a family member that there's been a body found and identified as the family member. What's it like to tell a family member that we've now loaded this up, we've looked at all the evidence, and we are now prepared to make an arrest, we have a warrant, it looks like, in our opinion, it is solved, but what's it like telling a family member that?
Well, it kind of makes you sick to your stomach because everybody's got family, everybody's got kids, everybody has wives, brothers, sisters, so you can put yourself in the position of somebody knocking on the door telling you what you probably know but never want to hear. So, Greta, I'm going to tell you, there is no words that you can use that you're comfortable with or sound sincere enough to tell somebody that their loved one is dead. There's no I know how you feel, which is absurd.
But getting to tell them that, look, we're going to get justice for your child, that's, I mean...
I don't believe in closure. When somebody loses a loved one, that loss is forever, no matter how many times you kill a suspect, no matter how many years he spends in prison, no matter how clean the investigation, no matter how quick the trial. What do? You can't replace it. I think closure is a word we use to make everybody else feel good. There is no closure.
I think you've just convinced me, Mark. I think you're right. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Coming up, the inside scoop on Harriet Miers, the woman President Bush says he wants on the high court. Some of the president's biggest supporters and now biggest critics will want to listen to our next guest. This is the information everyone is waiting to hear. And later, the Minnesota Vikings are facing their toughest challenge of the year, but this battle is not taking place on the gridiron. There are allegations of wild sex, drugs, and prostitution. The stunning details coming up.
Katie hates when I tell people this. When she was about 7 years old, she used to run around wearing a little plastic stethoscope, taking everyone's pulse. Ever since then, we've been getting ready for this day. And Katie, I don't think I could be any more proud than I am right now. Dad's kind of a softie, huh?
Oh, he's not my dad. This is Steve, our Morgan Stanley guy. Hey, Mom.
How about a picture with the new doctor?
My pleasure.
Hey, Steve.
When you work with a Morgan Stanley financial advisor, you get someone unusually devoted to your dreams, one client at a time.
This is a great find. The redesigned Mercury Mountaineer. Come on, step up. Mountaineer's interior is all new everywhere you look. It's as easy as this to rearrange the seat. You'll never have to ask for directions. Mountaineer has more V8 power and even better mileage. But here's the most incredible part. Mountaineer costs less than last year. The extremely well-equipped Mountaineer starts at this great price. You've got to put Mercury on your list.
You torched your car. Why?
Practicing for hell.
On October 21st.
Pleased to meet you. What's the matter, Henry?
What if one man's nightmare
That's my father. You told me your father was dead.
He is dead. They left him walking out the door.
became another man's reality?
I spoke to him more less than an hour ago.
He's been dead for months. From the director of Monsters Ball, Ewan McGregor, Naomi Watts, Ryan Gosling.
She didn't have to see this.
Stay. Rated R. October 21st, only in theaters.
Better designed to offer better efficiency. Better designed to offer better comfort. Better designed to offer a better design. The redesigned Dave Lennox Signature Collection, the quietest high-efficiency furnace you can buy. It can reduce your monthly energy bill up to 60%. Now, get up to a $1,000 instant discount on Dave Lennox Signature Collection products. Innovation never felt so good.
Good evening, I'm Lori Dew. As relief efforts in earthquake-ravaged areas of Pakistan continue, a 5.6 aftershock rattled the capital of Islamabad today. No word on any damage thus far. But among the ruins, a miracle, as 5-year-old Zorabe Shah was found alive in the rubble of her home. Her father and sisters were among the 23,000 people killed in Saturday's quake. The federal government's self-imposed deadline to have all the Hurricane Katrina victims out of shelters is just 3 days away, but FEMA says 22,000 people are still in them. New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin paid a visit to several shelters around Louisiana today. Officials say it's unlikely that Saturday's deadline will be met. A Kansas judge says the imprisoned BTK serial killer will not be or should not be allowed to see news about his own case or have any material depicting killing or bondage. In August, the same judge sentenced Dennis Rader to 10 consecutive life terms for 10 murders. It's now up to the Corrections Department to accept or reject the judge's recommendations. And baby makes 18. Michelle Duggar of Arkansas gave birth to her 16th child today. Little Johanna Faith weighed in at 7 pounds, 6.5 ounces. All her big brothers and sisters also have names beginning with the letter J. I'll see you again in 30 minutes. On the Record continues right now.
President Bush's nomination of Harriet Miers to the United States Supreme Court is drawing sharp criticism from someone in his own party. The critics say they don't know her. Okay, well, let's find out about her. Join us live from Austin with an inside look at Harriet Miers is her close friend, Texas Supreme Court Justice Nathan Heck. Welcome, Justice.
Thanks, Greta.
How long have you known Harriet Miers?
30 years.
Is there, how do you describe her?
Well, she's a very solid lawyer, established reputation, great leader, has a record of public service here in the bar and in state agencies, city council, and she's been great help to the president, I think, in the council's office and in the White House. She's a wonderful pick, Greta.
Can she make a decision that might be politically unpopular? Is she tough?
Absolutely. I mean, ask anybody, she's tough as nails, and she's had plenty of experiences in the past standing up in very difficult situations. You can't run over Harriet.
Do you think that we should be able to predict what every justice is going to decide about every single case? Is that a good justice, one we could predict?
Well, I hope not. I hope you can't predict what they'll do about any case. Judges are supposed to wait to hear the case before they decide it, not to have an agenda going in. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to write in this case. And so, of course, I know that's what everybody wants to know. They want to know, well, how are you going to rule in these cases? And that's what a lot of digging around is about. But you can't know. And a good judge doesn't know.
And, I mean, there's no secret. I think it's rotten to judge her before we even hear from her. So it's, I mean, I'm a little perplexed why she's getting criticized when we haven't heard anything yet.
And you're a lawyer, so I mean, you could appreciate that.
How is she? Have you spoken to her? I mean, how's she taking this criticism?
She's very strong, and she hears some of it. But Harriet's never flinched in front of criticism, so she's very sturdy. She is looking forward to the confirmation process. She's going to be fully prepared. She'll do well at her hearings. She's fine.
You know, I like the idea that she's not coming from the Court of Appeals simply because I want different people on the Supreme Court, not simply 9 from the same background. She's been a real lawyer, right? She's represented. She's been in the courtroom.
Absolutely, and not only that, but back when she started, it was very difficult for women lawyers to get a job, just as it was in Sandra Day O'Connor's time. And she had the same problem, and she started at a law firm that then grew 10 times its size and ultimately became managing partner of that firm. So, I mean, that shows you that this is a very solid person.
Now, I know she's represented corporations. Has she represented what we call real people, meaning middle-class people, poor people? Has she done divorce? Has she been a small claims court? Has she done criminal defense? I mean, has she been a real lawyer?
She has. She's when she was president of the state bar here in Texas, she made one of the centerpieces of her year of work there, pro bono services, making sure that people who do not have access to legal services when they really need them for exactly the kind of cases you're describing could get them. And she did that herself for Catholic Charities for a long time, but in other cases, she walked the walk.
You know, I don't think people realize that being a judge or a justice isn't a pop quiz. I mean, that it requires people to think and study issues and have a good mind and a good heart. Can she separate out any of her, her maybe political or religious beliefs and do exactly that?
Of course she can, and every good judge has to. You want a judge to be a real person, somebody that has character and beliefs. But by the same token, you don't want those being interjected into cases when there are legal issues to be decided. So Harriet knows that, and she can clearly separate those two, as I have to, as all good judges have to.
Think gender plays any part of the criticism she's getting hit with these days?
Well, Mrs. Bush said so, and I can't help but feel a little bit like they're pounding on her pretty good. But Harriet's never thought of herself as being victimized. She thinks of, she's willing to meet the criticism, and as she always, and do the same good job she always has. So I can see where people might think that.
All right, Justice. Well, we'll all be watching, and I hope that everyone waits to at least hear from her before people make up their minds. Thank you, Justice.
You bet, Greta.
Coming up, the Minnesota Vikings have been accused of some very unsportsmanlike conduct. We're going to tell you about the ugly allegations and possible criminal charges. That's next. And later, a frantic search is underway right now for this woman. Why was she terrified the night before she vanished? And why the now bizarre series of stories about where she might be? Her mother is here.
This program is brought to you by Ambien. Get back into the rhythm of life. Talk to your doctor about Ambien.
My name is Sarah, and I'm not an actress. I went through 2 or 3 years of not being able to sleep. I got great sheets. I had the perfect pillows. Nothing worked for me. I went to my doctor. She said, you know what, I'm going to give you a prescription for
prescription sleep aids are most often taken for 7 to 10 days as needed, or longer as advised by your doctor. Until you know how Ambien will affect you, you shouldn't drive or operate machinery. Side effects may include drowsiness, dizziness, and diarrhea. You shouldn't take it with alcohol. All sleep medicines carry some risk of dependency. Memory problems can usually be avoided by taking Ambien only when you can devote 7 to 8 hours to sleep. Talk to your doctor. Ambien works like a dream.
It's the time of the season when love runs high in the dark.
Moving your 401ks to Fidelity is groovy. Our retirement specialists make it so easy, they'll even do most of the paperwork. You dig? Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
Introducing the Total Value Promise.
From the award-winning quality of Buick. I promise.
I promise to stand behind your Buick with our 4-year, 50,000-mile new vehicle warranty and the serenity of a quiet-tuned interior.
I promise. I promise you the security of OnStar on new 2006 Buick models. It's our Buick Total Value Promise to you.
The 2006 LaCrosse CX. Under $22,600 after all applicable offers. See your Buick dealer today.
This is their world, with 31 points of view you've never heard, past 31 borders you've never crossed, and 31 histories you need to know. That's 31 ways to see it through their eyes. Experience the world beyond our borders. 31 shows, 31 nights. Now is the time to globalize yourself. All this month, only on History International. Call your satellite provider.
Homeowners need cash? You need to know about the no closing cost home equity line of credit from Countrywide Home Loans. Unlike many lenders, with Countrywide there's no application fee, no credit reporting fee, no appraisal fee, no underwriting fee, no closing costs. So you can use more of your loan to pay off credit cards and lower your bills. The no closing cost home equity line of credit from Countrywide. No one can do what Countrywide can. Apply now. Call 1-800-641-8260.
A 90-minute cruise may land the Minnesota Vikings in hot water. About 20 members of the football team were on board when the cruise allegedly got out of control, reportedly turning into a wild sex party with drugs, strippers, and prostitution. Join us live at Winter Park, the Viking headquarters, is KMSP TV reporter Tom Light. Well, Tom, what happened?
Well, this all went down last Thursday, Greta. About 20 Viking members and 80 to 90 of their friends went out on these two party yachts, is the best way to describe them. They go out on Lake Minnetonka, but shortly after they left dock, the problems began. Heavy drinking at first, but before long, according to the crew members, through their lawyers, they tell us there were naked women walking around. Soon after that, there were actually sex acts going on, oral sex. Now, we don't know who exactly was receiving the oral sex, whether it was the Vikings or their friends, but that was going on. There was some alleged drug activity as well. Left behind on the boats were used condoms. As this was going on, there were two boats that went out there. The pilots were talking to one another. They said, this is out of control. The crew felt threatened. They felt intimidated. The players were demanding more alcohol. They turned the boats around, back to dock. The cruise ended right there. Now, the Vikings had their first chance to kind of respond to these salacious allegations today, and Coach Mike Tice was downright apoplectic, didn't know what to say. He wouldn't discuss the details of it, wouldn't discuss the players that were involved, but he said this is the kind of allegation that could ruin a team or bring it together. He's going to try to bring it together. You know, before this began on the yacht, there's a neighbor who lives right down the street, Kathy Huff, and she said some of the players, about 8 of them, urinated on her front yard. Listen to what she has to say, give you a flavor of what we're dealing with here.
I would say there was probably like 6 of them in between that tree and this tree. I mean, it was like they were doing this, I don't know, pea line dance or something, you know, they were just whoop.
And she is not a critic of the Vikings. In fact, that night she was wearing a Vikings t-shirt. She says she bleeds purple, as a lot of people do around here. She actually followed those guys up the street and saw them getting on the yacht. Again, she doesn't know if they're Vikings or if they were friends of the Vikings.
Tom, it's been a lousy season so far. They've lost 3, won 1. They've got a new owner. Now they've got this sex party. They want a new stadium. I concede I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, but what are the fans saying, and what's the new owner saying?
The fans are disgusted. They say this is ridiculous. You know, they have an $800 million stadium package on the table. Taxpayers take up a good chunk of that. People are telling us these players repeatedly show us that they're just children, and now they want a bigger sandbox, and they want the public to pay for it. You know, this stadium issue here for the Vikings may be all but dead because of this issue. Real big consequences. Ziggy Wilf, the new owner, he wasn't talking at all. He was actually in town for an owners conference. He avoided the press, and he skipped back out east. He's not commenting on this yet.
We've had the basketball brawl. That was a bad stain on national professional basketball. We've had baseball and steroids. What's the NFL saying, if anything, tonight about this?
You know, the NFL isn't commenting on this yet. They have a code of conduct that does not seem to really apply in this particular instance. And in fact, it's a little bit confusing about, this may be poor, outlandish, bizarre behavior on one hand. The question is whether it's criminal activity. Now, prosecutors are telling me that based on what they know, what we're looking at is indecent exposure, maybe prostitution. All of those charges are misdemeanors or gross misdemeanors, so we're not talking about any jail time with any of this.
And of course, they're tied with the Bears, who they're supposed to see this weekend, so that'll be an interesting game with all that's going on in their minds with the Vikings. Tom, thank you. Joins live from Minneapolis is Stephen Doyle, the lawyer for the Charter Cruise Company. Stephen, what are your clients saying happened?
Good evening to you both. Good evening, Greta. You know, this was a routine event for us. One of the Vikings was a guy named Smoot. There were others that set this thing up. My clients had the impression that this was a routine evening, that kind of a traditional social evening out for veterans funded by first-year players. It all unfolded as it should. 2 boats, 50 people on one boat, 40 on the other. Crews that were excited because, you know, these are Viking players. It's a pretty exciting event to have. It turned enormously sour and pretty crazy and wild, and I'm happy to give you details. I'm not sure what your audience can deal with.
In terms of the women, I mean, and the sex, are these women they brought on board, or were they imposing themselves on female crew members?
Well, let me first of all talk about most of the women on board. Of the 90 people, my crew of my clients tell me that more than half the people were men, but a large number were women. The perception was, for whatever reason, that these would be family, friends, girlfriends, wives, whatever, that showed up on board with the players and their friends. You know, we think we've identified about 17 Vikings, but we know there were more than 20 on board. Some of the crew just simply aren't Viking fans or football fans, so they didn't know them. So the idea was this was a pretty routine event. Yes, during the course of the cruise, which wasn't a very long event, individuals, Viking players and others, solicited women to dance, to offer them money, to try to control part of the bar, try to control lighting systems. Were upset because certain boozes ran out. It was a pretty aggressive evening for a very short cruise. Remember, they were only out about 40 minutes when the crew reported to the captains, who verified what was occurring, who reported back to home base, and the boats were ordered to return. They kept a secret from the crew, from the passengers, that the cruises were returning. They were fearful for their own safety and didn't want to let them know they were going back home.
Is safety an issue? I realize that, I mean, there are 90 on the 2 boats, but we certainly saw what happened on Lake George recently. And I understand that 90 was within the capacity, but these are big people, and if they're getting aggressive, was safety ever a real risk here?
Well, only after their behavior took place. Try to remember, we've got a crew here of 4 people per boat, which is routine for the size of these folks. These people have been in business for 50 years. This is one of the high-end folks that you know, do charters and restaurants on one of the big lakes around the cities here, a lake that has more than 500 miles of lakeshore, if you take the whole lakeshore. This is an astoundingly class operation, so there's nothing unusual about this until the behavior started. We have a crew that's just looking at behavior that's astounding, sexual acts that are occurring in front of everybody, just a level of activity between people and people and toys that were extraordinary. Just knocked the socks off of these folks, and they were stunned and shocked and dismayed and frightened and intimidated. You know, these are 250, 300-pound people who are saying, you know, let me tell you here, what are we going to say here? We want lights off, and the crew is saying, no, you can't have it. So that's part of the problem here.
All right, well, I'm sure that everyone's going to be following this story, Stephen. Thank you. Coming up, the search is underway tonight for this missing woman. Her family is getting conflicting reports from police. Her mother goes on the record next, and later, a bizarre murder mystery. Police have no suspect, no cause of death, and they don't even know who the victim is, but he's very, very tiny. The police chief is here to explain.
For over 75 years, we've been sacrificing Volvos in the name of safety.
In the tree of the mist of uncertainty, I want to be in the warm hold of your loving mind.
Today, when it comes to style and design,
To feel you
we sacrifice nothing.
around me and to take your hand along the sand. But I may as well try and catch the wind.
Safety is a beautiful thing.
For me to love you now would be the sweetest thing.
Especially
Would make me sing.
when it's beautiful.
But I may as well try
The 2006 Volvos.
the wind.
Merry Christmas, Grandma and Grandpa!
But it's August.
I use my credit card miles. They blacked out the good weeks. While we're at it, happy Thanksgiving. Dibs on the drumstick, old man. Oh, and happy birthdays.
Yippee.
Put your Halloween costumes on while Mommy hides Easter eggs. Yeah, you're looking good. Gonna cook that?
For easy-to-use rewards, get a Capital One no-hassle rewards card and fly any airline anytime with no blackout dates.
Are we having fun now or what?
Genius needs a Capital One card.
Dad, I'm hot.
Yeah, we're all hot.
Apply now and earn up to 20,000 bonus miles. Just visit CapitalOne.com/card or call 1-800-290-3700.
Is it that late already? Happy New Year!
So fly any airline anytime with a Capital One no-hassle rewards card. Apply today and start earning up to 20,000 bonus miles. Just visit CapitalOne.com/card or call 1-800-290-3700.
What's in your wallet?
Factor this, a scandal in Minnesota. Some members of the NFL Vikings football team involved in a sex and booze cruise. And South Florida invaded by pythons. We're not kidding. Coming up on the next Factor.
Saturday, we take you inside one of the biggest trials in history with eyewitness testimony, unprecedented access, and exclusive interviews.
Once the trial starts, anything can happen.
Saturday, Saddam Hussein on trial.
At this hour, frantic search is underway for missing North Carolina woman. 34-year-old Alicia Gail Moore disappeared after leaving her aunt's home last Thursday. Join us live in Raleigh is Alicia's mother, Linda Moore. Welcome, Linda.
Hello, thank you.
Linda, I haven't checked in the last couple hours, but any news on your daughter in the last couple hours?
No news since this morning.
All right. What did you hear this morning?
This morning I talked with Detective Vaughn of the Durham Police, and he told me he was straightening up the stories that I heard from the beginning. I had heard conflicting stories. The first story being that her tags were found on another car in Georgia. Another report that she was seen with her car and a white van with someone. Another story of them having that they had flagged her car, and that not him, but the police, working with two counties, Durham County and Orange County, that they didn't know. They had to interview the officer, and they couldn't contact the officer until Monday. This is what they told me on Saturday.
All right, let me just orient Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just want to orient the viewers to what happened and see if you can correct me if I'm wrong. But on Thursday, she left in the morning, and she left her aunt's house, and she's not been seen or heard from since Thursday, except that on Friday at about 5:30, they thought that her car might have been stopped in Atlanta, Georgia, and that someone produced her driver's license. And apparently that's some of the confusion. We don't know if that did happen or did not. Let me ask you, was anything going on in her life? You know, did she have any relationship that was giving her a problem or anything else like that?
There was nothing going on. She didn't take any suitcases. All of her, everything was there. She had her procedure every night was to take her contacts out and put her glasses on. All of her material that she would use for that. This was a ritual for her.
When she left on Thursday, where was she going?
She was going to work. She worked at Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and she was going to work, and she's never not gone to work. She didn't call in to ask for any days off. I had 2 calls on my phone, my cell phone, she called me, I think it was a call from Atlanta, I'd say, on Sunday morning. 2 calls that I had missed, and I don't know anyone in Atlanta.
All right. Well, we have at least put her picture up on the screen, so in case anyone has seen her, that they will call, Linda, and we'll continue to follow this. If anyone has seen Alicia Gail Moore, call immediately. Linda, thank you and good luck, and we'll follow this for you. Coming up, a man walking his dog makes a gruesome discovery. We're going to tell you what he found and why police are having such a hard time solving this horrific crime. And later, more flooding slamming the country. A deadly downpour kills several people and destroys homes. And tonight, several people missing. And the rain is still coming down. We'll get a live update.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lori Dew. A U.S. consular officer says he saw no signs of torture of a terror suspect being held in Saudi Arabia. Ahmed Omar Abu Ali, who is a U.S. citizen, is accused of plotting to assassinate President Bush. He claims that Saudis tortured him to get a confession, but the official who visited Ali in jail says he looked healthy. Ali will be tried in the United States. Adding insult to injury in the Northeast. After 6 straight days of downpours, New Jersey is bracing for more. The rains flooded streets and led to traffic jams today. The state remains under a flood watch. The National Weather Service canceled a flood watch for New Hampshire, but it could get more rain. You'll have to be 18 or older from now on to hang out in a Yahoo chat room. It's part of an agreement with authorities in New York and Nebraska. Yahoo is also banning all user-created chat rooms after complaints that they could be used to promote sex between minors and adults. And you better make room for a new gadget. After putting a new twist on the Walkman, Apple's coming out with an updated Watchman, which looks an awful lot like Bono, doesn't it? The company has unveiled a new iPod that plays TV shows and music videos, as well as your favorite songs and podcasts. I think we know what they look like by now. More headlines just after the top of the hour. On the Record continues right now.
Up next on the Record, the body of a toddler found in a bag in a wooded area near an interstate. Find out why a drawing may be the key to solving this murder. Plus, deadly floods devastate New England and more rain is on the way. We'll get a live update.
Months of burning the midnight oil. 2 weeks of second-guessing yourself. 1 minute of soul-searching. It all comes down to this. To find out how a Savin document management system can connect you to success, go to savin.com. Now you're ready.
Grand Caravan, the only minivan with stow and go. Another minivan first from Dodge.
Daddy just had to get a motorcycle, didn't he?
Funny, huh? Dodge Grand Caravan with the highest government front and side crash test ratings.
The financial world is filled with difficult decisions. Who inspires confidence? Where can you turn? Ask your financial advisor about the Hartford Mutual Funds, offered by the Hartford, a company built on 194 years of trust. Request a complete prospectus with investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information to read and consider carefully before investing or sending money.
Business class is different on British Airways.
We're always live.
Tonight on Your World, will your jaw drop when the mercury drops? You won't believe how high those fuel bills are going to be this winter. Then homeowners love it. I'm talking about the mortgage tax deduction, why it could become history. And will the UAW give in to givebacks when it comes to Delphi? We'll talk to one local union leader, another down day on Wall Street, the Dow off 36 points, tonight on Your World.
Tonight, a little boy needs your help. He needs justice. A man walking his dog found the body of a young boy abandoned in a field near Chicago. Police believe he was murdered, but they do not know when he died, who killed him, or even who he is. Join us live in Chicago is Chief Michael Blazek of the DuPage County Sheriff's Office Law Enforcement Bureau. Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, Greta.
Chief, where was this child found and when?
The child was found last Saturday afternoon, shortly before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, in a rural area of western DuPage County, right off of Interstate 88, which is between Naperville and Aurora, Illinois.
Who found, you don't have to give the name, but I mean, can you describe the person who found this boy?
It was a citizen that was in the area. He had his family in the area. He dropped his family off, and he was then out walking his dog in the area, and he came across the body.
Is this an area where he'd been to before, so that we at least might be able to date when the body was placed there?
He was familiar with the area.
But had he been there like the day before and there'd been no body, or not?
No, we don't have that information right now. That's part of the investigation.
All right, what can you tell me about the young boy in an effort to try to, identify him tonight? I mean, even the clothes he was wearing or anything at all?
Right. Right now, what we do know is that we have recovered the body of a little boy. We believe him to be about 3 years old. He was about 38 and a half inches tall. He weighed between 25 and 30 pounds. He was wearing a navy blue shirt. It didn't have a collar. It had 3 buttons on the top. He had navy blue pants on. They were of a cotton nylon blend with a white liner. The clothes were both of a Faded Glory brand name, and the size was a 2T, or toddler.
Is it an African-American child, or Caucasian, or Asian? I mean, what's the ethnic background?
We don't know yet. We have consulted with a forensic anthropologist today to assist us in determining the race.
And in terms of, I take it by that bad news that there's a huge level of decomposition.
It is partially decomposed, the body is, and that's, of course, hampering our efforts to identify who the child is, and, of course, right now that's our primary focus.
A forensic anthropologist will do what for you to help in the investigation?
Well, 2 things. We've consulted with a forensic artist as well as an anthropologist, so that we're hoping that we can start with a sketch of the child's face that we can get out to the public and the community through the media, and then we can also bring in an anthropologist who can assist us in reconstruction of the facial features.
Chief, was the body contained in anything which might give some clues to identity or even killer?
Well, again, we're not saying that this is a homicide case right now. We are saying it is a death investigation. The cause of death at this time is still part of the investigation, however, the body was concealed in a canvas bag of some sort.
Chief, thank you. Good luck, sir.
Thank you very much.
Joining us live in New York is forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden. Dr. Baden, good evening. Lots of challenges. One is to identify this child, another is to find out what happened to the child, and the third, if this is murder, is who did it. So where do we begin?
Well, I think it'd be easy to look at the hair under the microscope And when bodies decompose, often the hair is the best measure of race. Different races have different appearances of hair under the microscope, and that could help. I think the plastic covering that he made, canvas bag, holds fingerprints very well. So even if the outside of the bag has been, fingerprints have been destroyed by rain and other things, the inside of a canvas bag where the body is might still hold fingerprints of who put the boy in the bag. I think that it's very hard to identify a child like this if nobody reports a child missing at 3 years of age. There should be a lot of people who know the child is missing and report it, and that's what makes it very ominous as far as somebody causing harm to the child and then leaving the child a distance away. This sounds like the child may have died elsewhere, a distance away, and then left where the child was found decomposing. So that's going to be very hard to identify the child.
And I suppose, I mean, at least if the child were a little bit older, the child might fail to show up at school, which might be a tip to at least a teacher or another, schoolmate or something.
That's right.
A 3-year-old child makes it very difficult, and the best thing we can do is just get the word out there. Yeah. Account for all the 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds.
The clothing may help because the police may be able to track back to where that specific type of clothing was sold, that brand of clothing, and it may be certain towns that sell it, not others. So they'll have to go a distance away, I think, from where the body was found to get a clue that there's a 3-year-old child missing.
And of course, then they have to determine cause of death, whether it's homicide or accident with a cover-up.
That's absolutely right. At 3 years old, if the baby died from suffocation, say, it may be very difficult to prove that from an autopsy.
Could be asthmatic or it could be suffocated.
That's right. That's right. But if it was asthmatic, presumably whoever the caretakers are, the parents are, they'd call a hospital, call an ambulance. Apparently, this child, an ambulance wasn't called, and whoever was with the child went to the trouble of going elsewhere to dispose of the child. So it's going to be tough.
And not even to try to bury the child, but simply to dump the body as though the child was of no value.
Absolutely. Just a horrible situation.
Dr. Biden, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Coming up, more than 10 inches of rain caused death and destruction in New Hampshire. Tonight, 3 citizens are missing. Will the situation get worse before it gets better? We are tracking the storms. And later, an update on the stolen jet we told you about last night. Who took the jet and why? The surprising details coming up.
Now make a 3-inch incision between the 4th and 5th abdominal muscles.
Shouldn't you be doing this?
Making important financial decisions on your own doesn't make much sense either. That's why Edward Jones prefers meeting clients face-to-face.
To the Thanksgiving traditions of turkey, parades, and football, this year, a new tradition will be added.
Betsy, you've won $1 million in the public clearinghouse sweepstakes.
This Thanksgiving, the Prize Patrol could surprise you with $1 million. Watch your mail.
I've been sending it in for years.
Or go to PCH.com. That's PCH.com and enter. Then, Thanksgiving Day, you could say...
Thanks a million, Publishers Clearinghouse.
Safety is a beautiful thing. Especially when it's beautiful. The 2006 Volvo S40.
This is their world. With 31 points of view you've never heard. Past 31 borders you've never crossed. And 31 histories you need to know. That's 31 ways to see it through their eyes. Experience the world beyond our borders. 31 shows, 31 nights. Now is the time to globalize yourself. All this month, only on History International. Call your satellite provider.
Right now, Dish Network has 50 good reasons for you to add HBO and Showtime. $50 back. Order HBO and get 8 channels of hit Hollywood movies and HBO's award-winning series. Order Showtime Unlimited and get 10 channels of hot movies and cutting-edge originals. Order them together and you can get $50 back. HBO, Showtime, and $50 in your pocket. Now that's a deal. Go online or call 1-888-DISH-109 and get it all. Only from Dish Network.
Let's compare. If this is other car insurance companies, and this is Allstate, and if they both cost about the same, which would you feel safer with? You're in good company. Last year, over 1 million people switched their car insurance to Allstate. Surprise? For many people, Allstate actually costs less than those companies that only talk about how much you can save. Allstate's been helping drivers for over 70 years. You can look to their knowledge and experience for help 24/7. You get more than an 800 number. You get real people with answers. Why get car insurance from a company you're not sure about when you can get peace of mind from Allstate? It's a good feeling if the going gets rough.
Call 1-866-532-3900 and find out how much Allstate's knowledge and experience can help you save. You don't have to wait for your current policy to expire. Switch to Allstate and start saving right now.
Quality car insurance should be affordable. That's Allstate's stand. Are you in good hands?
Search teams in New England are frantically looking for bodies after massive flooding destroyed homes, knocked out power, and killed several people. And tonight, the danger is not over. Rick Reitmuth joins us live from the Fox Weather Center with the latest. Rick, what is the latest on the weather?
Greta, you're right. You know, we're going to be watching probably about another 3 days of rain, and some of this is going to be heavy at times. A lot of times across the Northeast, you see systems approaching from the west. This time we have a new system developing out across the ocean, and it's going to be bringing a lot of moisture in overnight tonight, for tomorrow, into Friday, and likely into Saturday. This is a look at the satellite picture. The unfortunate part is we've already seen extremely high rainfall totals across much of this area from the storm that we saw over the weekend, last weekend. And, of course, it's been raining still more lightly throughout the week. But these are some rainfall totals so far, just within the last 6 days. 15 inches here in towards Halifax, Vermont. Around 9 inches here across parts of the lower Hudson River Valley. And many areas picking up these kinds of rainfall totals. So it's not just necessarily some isolated areas. We've been seeing some really widespread rainfall totals in that 8 to 10 inch range. So let's take a look at the radar picture, because we're already seeing a lot of this rain move on shore right now. And unfortunately, it's going to continue, and some of it is going to be heavy at times. In fact, since yesterday, we have seen rainfall totals around the 7-inch range across parts of Long Island. If there's any good news, it's that this time the rain isn't necessarily where we saw it during the prior weekend. This is where we really got hammered last weekend across parts of southwestern New Hampshire and across much of western Massachusetts. These are all mountain ranges, the Monadnocks and the Berkshires here. And this is where, anytime you get those mountain ranges, you'll see a lot of the heavier rain falling. So you're seeing things lighten up a little bit across this area, although we've been seeing rain throughout the day today, and certainly more of it is on the way. But at this point, it appears that some of the heavier rain is going to be across coastal areas. So certainly Long Island, where I just said we've seen about 7 inches of rain across some areas. New York City, 3 inches since yesterday. Saw around 4.5 inches over the weekend. And it looks like much of Connecticut and Rhode Island out across the Cape and some of the islands here are going to be looking at rainfall totals probably from this thing around 8 to 9 inches. And, of course, flooding a big concern. I'm also real concerned about New Jersey. The latest models are pulling a lot of this energy a little bit further to the west. New Jersey, many areas saw around 10 inches last weekend, and we've seen 5 since yesterday. So likely the flooding to become a big concern here, certainly across much of the southern Hudson River Valley. And then we're concerned as this moves up a little bit further to the north, this becomes a much bigger threat once again into the Berkshires. I suspect this is likely more towards tomorrow night and into Friday, where we'll see some of the heavier rains across the areas that have received some of these obviously heavy flooding areas. Greta.
Rick, thank you. Joining us live on the phone is Allstate Police Chief Chris Lyons. Welcome, Chief.
Good evening, Greta.
Chief, 3 people from your area are missing, or at least on Saturday they seem to have disappeared. What can you tell me about the flooding and what you know about these 3 people?
Well, we still do have 3 people missing in our town, a husband and a wife, and we also have a gentleman that we learned had been camping along the riverbanks.
In terms of the couple, what happened? Were they in their homes?
Our understanding is that they were in their home and that they had been asked to evacuate, and unfortunately they did not evacuate.
Well, was it a situation where it was a fast flood, or did the water just keep, growing?
No, we had a large culvert that gave way, and water had been building up behind it all night long. And when it gave way, it created a massive surge, which ripped out trees and took everything in its path right through town.
Have you been able to check the upper floors of their home?
I'm sorry?
Have you been able to check the upper floors of their home?
We've had a search and rescue team, which was a joint effort between the New Hampshire Fish and Game and also the New Hampshire Forest Rangers, and they went door to door, and they've made a search of every home along the riverbed.
What about the gentleman who's we refer to as a kayaker who's missing?
I believe that was in another community.
Any idea whether he's been found?
I'm unsure about that. Like I said, that was another community, I think here in the Monadnock region that I heard on the news.
And the police, I understand even the police station got flooded.
That's correct. Our police department encountered about 7 feet of water, and it's totally destroyed all of our radio equipment, all of our records, our evidence. It's soaked with water and silt from the riverbed. And my secretary and my fire chief were in the police station. We had set up an incident command post there, and they were inside, and the fire chief had to actually kick the door out to get them both out before they could have drowned in there with the 7 foot of water that came inside the PD.
Well, Chief, it looks pretty grim, but good luck to you, and I hope that the missing are found and that they're all right, but it looks grim tonight. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Coming up, this Ohio teenager took off with a 52-year-old married man, setting off a desperate search. Tonight, there is a major break in the case. Details are coming up next.
A new generation for energy generation.
Roger.
As a kid, I used technology to help people do better. Today, Scottrade does the same for online investors. If you've been thinking about moving your account, this is the perfect time to come to Scottrade. With powerful trading tools and fast, accurate $7 trades, Scottrade gives you more for your money.
The medicine, things that make modern life modern, come from one place, chemistry. Learn more at AmericanChemistry.com.
Have a good day. See you tonight.
Okay.
Introducing the all-new Suzuki Grand Vitara. You want more out of life? We're giving you the green light. Go.
Factor this, a scandal in Minnesota. Some members of the NFL Vikings football team involved in a sex and booze cruise. And South Florida invaded by pythons. We're not kidding. Coming up on the next Factor.
Tonight, a missing Ohio girl we told you about earlier this week has been found safe. 16-year-old Ashley Snell came home last night after spending 12 days on the run with a 52-year-old married man who she knew from church. A warrant was issued for Barry Pollard's arrest, and this morning, he turned himself into police. Barry Pollard is in jail tonight, charged with interference with custody, and police say more charges are expected. And finally tonight, a man has been arrested for stealing a $7 million jet in Florida and taking it on a 350-mile ride. 22-year-old Daniel Andrew Walcott is now charged with theft and reckless conduct, and more charges are expected. Police made the arrest after speaking with 5 people who say they were on board the jet. According to police, the key is not needed to start the jet, and the lock on the door was easy to pry open. Thanks for being with us tonight. We'll see you all again tomorrow. Until then, keep it here on Fox News Channel. The most powerful name in news, the O'Reilly Factor, is coming up next. Good night.